with Bruce. So Bruce, you have 10 minutes. Sorry, let me do an overall introduction. Yeah,
a little.
Sorry. So welcome everyone. We've progressed to the next segment of the program. So we're going to have the Vice Dean Roundtable Forum. So today we have various Vice Deans from the main graduate programs at NUS. Now, of course, if there is a particular program that you are interested in, but the Vice Dean is not represented here, don't worry. There are booths that are available and also ways to get in touch with those faculties. But I believe this should cover the majority of faculties and schools in our at NUS. So we have Professor Bruce Lockhart, who is representing the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, Professor Don Jing Song, who is representing the School of Computing, Professor Wong Nyok Hien, who is representing College of Design and Engineering, Associate Professor Kevin Tan, who is representing the School of Medicine, Professor Suzaina Kadir, who is representing the LKY School of Public Policy, Professor Pao Wei Chu, who is representing the Faculty of Science, and Professor Sylvia Vogel, who is representing Duke NUS. So as I mentioned previously, you may or may not have caught it, each school will basically present for about 5 to 10 minutes on their programs, after which we'll just have very general Q&A. So there are really two ways to ask questions. One is you can feel free to type in the Q&A box, and then I can try to collate the questions and then ask it to the respective Vice Deans. Alternatively, you can also raise your hands and we can also then unmute you and allow you to share your question in person. So thank you very much, and over to you, Bruce.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm from Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, and basically we have quite a number of departments, probably more departments than almost any other faculty. So we have all of the traditional, what we think of the traditional humanities and social sciences, like history, psychology, economics. We also have a number of specifically Asian studies departments. And so we have Chinese studies, Japanese studies, Southeast Asian studies, South Asian studies, and Malay studies. And as you probably understand, each of the area studies departments will include people in all of the other fields. And we actually have Asian specialists scattered through the different departments. I myself am I specialize in Southeast Asia. I'm in the history department, and then there are other historians in my department that do Southeast Asia. There are also historians in the Southeast Asian Studies department. So I would say one of the main focuses that we have, both in terms of research and teaching in our faculty, is Asia, and specifically Southeast Asia. So probably the bulk of our PhD students outside the psychology department, the bulk of our students are working on some Asia-related topic. That doesn't mean that we don't take graduate students who are not working on Asia, but because a large amount of our expertise focuses on Asia, so many of our graduate students do as well. We are sort of a mixture, a kind of hybrid of more American-style programs and more British-style programs. One of the ways in which we are quite American is that both our master's and our PhD programs, research programs, have coursework, a mixture of coursework and thesis. The coursework is less than you would do in a comparable American program, but it is certainly more than you would do in an MPhil or a DPhil program in the UK. Also, unlike some of the other faculties, we do have quite a number of master students by research. And this is partly because in that sense, we are probably a bit more British, because usually for our PhD programs, we would want students to have done a master's degree first. So we are happy to take students applying for master's degree by research. Usually that's a 2-year program. And it's a very good way to come and kind of see how is it like to be a graduate student at NUS in FAS. A certain number of our MA students will stay on for PhD, and other students will use NUS as kind of a jumping off point to go overseas for PhD. We have a very good record on placement of our MA students in PhD programs overseas. We have a certain amount of scholarship help available, mainly for the PhD programs. And you can find information about that on our website. We have a wide variety of subjects, wide variety of fields, and particularly if your passion is Asia, we would love to have you come and study with us. Thanks.
Great, thanks so much, Bruce. So next up we have Jin Song.
Okay, let me share the screen. Is that okay? The screen and the voice is okay?
This is great, but I think this is the presenter view. You might want to try to switch it to the
Full screen.
full screen. So if you go to display settings, I think there is a button there.
Okay, let's share. Okay, what about this one?
Yeah.
Better? Okay, now let's start. All right, so welcome to school computing. I just very briefly to talk about the graduate program in school computing. So it is really very unique opportunity right now for computing to create industry, to create groundbreaking research technology, and create new leaders. So it's quite exciting time for computing research. Why you want to do computing research, a PhD or master program in school of computing? Not just because we consistently highly ranked in UK Time magazine, we are ranking about 8, constantly in top 10. In purely research output, we rank about 15 in the world. Not only that, I think it's really the faculty members is outstanding, creating impactful research. I'm just give a couple examples. Like Winnie won the Test of Time Award in data mining area. I have Lin Song, which also one of the chair for this open house, is won the Test of Time Award for database theory area. And also in computer architecture and operating systems, winning the best award. Robotics also winning Test of Time, usually in the last 10 years, the most cited paper to the research and to industry. In programming languages, and this is probably most impactful paper in the last 20 years in programming languages. Jason's most influential paper award. Tasang also winning the multimedia technology award and so on. There's many lists, but I also like to point out, Bin Chen, the database award and so on. Our new faculties, recent hiring also make a noticeable award around, for example, in IEEE AI 10 to watch, and including some of the best papers, including MIT Technology Review list and Google Research Award and so on by our young faculty members we recently hired. We have won tons of best paper award in the top journal, top conferences. In theory, there's quite a list of number, AI area, database area, multimedia area, programming language, and the software engineering area. And of course, in computer systems, the many best paper award. Our PhD students also winning international best thesis award. So there's a number of examples here in software engineering area, in database area, also in multimedia area. We not just winning paper published a lot, but it's also creating system that has real impact. Here is one example by research by my colleagues, looking at advances in digital eye imaging, really changing the way of physicians diagnose, monitor, and manage the disease. So the retina provides the only direct window to view the nerves structure changes in retinal indicative early eye systematic disease, which can be captured and quantified by the digital photography imaging. And in school computing, we have developed this cloud-based infrastructure for computer-assisted analysis for retinal image to document the retinal structure alternation and monitor these changes over time. So I have over 30 licenses to many different industry and the university. And that's one of the impactful research. As I said, there's another example is that we actually creating new industry. This research in sports analytics, actually I personally involved. It's quite exciting because traditionally one of the technologies called the probabilistic model checking is really used by safety critical systems to calculate, for example, the aircraft reliability can be calculated based on aircraft components like wings, engines, sensors, reliability. If you know the component reliability, then you can calculate overall reliability of aircraft is 99.999% reliable. And but this idea we have been pushing into totally different new application domain like sports. The idea is that if you can use Markov decision process to calculate the reliability of winning percent based on players, the sub skill sets similar to the aircraft and the components. So if you know the player individual sub skill sets reliability in terms of probability, you can calculate the overall player's reliability, which particularly when they against each other, you can find out a particular pattern to help a different player to beat opponents. So one of the example I have been helping Tennis Australia. One of the example is John Millman, ranking 42 in the world. He has never beaten Federer. Federer recently retired, has considered to be the best player in the world. So we've been helping John Millman for the first time US Open quarterfinal, beating Federer for the first time by using a certain pattern we provided to attack Federer's particular weakness. So that news actually spread out to current world number one, Djokovic. So he called up, say, hey, well, I want to talk to you guys. And we meet up with Djokovic and actually helping him win the Australian Open 2020. So in the particular training session, even the pattern we identified quite exciting. At that time, my son actually also number one junior in Australia. So Djokovic practiced with my son for an hour. We identify an area. Here's a little demo to show that Djokovic has backhand slice back with another top which Djokovic that kind of training and help Djokovic see that the last ball hitting out against my son. To show my son is winning against world number one Djokovic, current number one. So this kind of research actually creating a new industry, the consultancy follow up, and also the company you created, not just helping Djokovic, helping many players by logging into your system, by giving different charges. It is actually the industry is computational sports analytics. We're pushing quite hard. It's just one example, a new industry can create it in computing, which you probably didn't think of can be done. And other system by my colleague, Apache, like deep learning systems also have a lot of real impact. And a US computing team consistently winning many different competition and the challenges. Our young professors also making a notable impact. Not just our staff, our students, and also making a tremendous impact. Has been taking, when they graduate, they has been taking tenure track positions in top university around the world, like in Harvard, in ETH, internationally, University College London, to get a tenure track of assistant professor position. Locally, also doing well, like we have been taking professor positions in local university like SUTD, Liu Yang taking the full professor position at the NTU, and Sun Jun also taking the full professor at SMU. the last two students, Sunji Liu Yang, I know them very well because they were former of my own PhD students. It's good to see they get tens of millions research funding very successfully, open new companies and doing significantly very well. And it's good to see all students become full professor at NTU and SMU. But we also have students not just go to faculties, right? They also go to industry like Google, like Facebook, Microsoft Research, Amazon, locally like a Grab and ByteDance, many different positions. And our student thesis also has been implemented in Skype systems, has made a real impact to the very popular online systems. Our professors and students also opened up companies. One of the spin-off has more than 50 employees, has 30 R&D staffs, and more than 10 of the staff has a PhD degree, raised $40 million US, and has customer around the world. So those are many different companies opened by associate staff and students and alumni. So welcome to join the computing. I guess if there are any questions, you can either ask now or maybe later when we have a panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jin Song. Yeah, we'll reserve the questions for the Q&A. Next up, we have Professor Wong Nyuk-Hien introducing the College of Design and Engineering.
Yeah, I need to share the screen. So
yeah, so Jin Song, can you unshare your screen, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can you see the screen?
Yeah, it looks good. But you want to hit a full screen?
Yeah, hold on.
Great, thank you.
Is it okay now, or is it down into? It's okay, huh?
It was okay a minute ago, but I think you need to go back to the full screen mode. The one at the bottom rather than the one at the top, I think.
Okay, hold on. What is happening here? Sorry about that. Now let me stop screen and share again.
No worries.
Do you see the?
No, now we are not. We're seeing a very small portion of your screen.
What's happening here? Sorry about that. Huh? Is it okay now?
Not quite. No. Yes. Now.
Yeah. Now it's okay.
Now okay, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I would like to just spend a few minutes going through these few slides here, talking about the graduate research program from the College of Design and Engineering. This is just a slide basically showing the world's top 10 for 6 subjects. For example, in our architecture and built environment, we are ranked number 6, chemical engineering 3rd, civil and structural engineering 3rd, and so on, right? So it shows that the college is having a lot of very good research done in many areas. Okay, in terms of our research programs, there are actually 3 types of research program. First one, we call it the Doctor of Philosophy. That is basically the traditional PhD program. Then we also have Master by Research. And of course, in this case, Master by Research can be Master of Engineering, Master of Arts, because we do have Architecture and Industrial Design, and also Master of Science, because we do have programs like Project Management, Facilities Management, and so on. We also have another interesting PhD program called Doctor of Engineering. How it is different from the first one is that for doctor of engineering, actually it is primarily for industry. For example, if we have an employee from a company that are doing a lot of research, they can actually embark on a doctor of engineering program to do research. In fact, they can even do the research using the company's research facilities. And then, of course, from our college, we do have the thesis advisor together with the advisor from the company and work together with the student to get the doctor of PhD. All right, in terms of disciplines, in terms of departments, in the college, we have altogether 10 departments. As the name indicates, College of Design and Engineering. So we have actually 7 engineering departments, straight up from biomedical, civil and mechanical, civil and environmental engineering, chemical, industrial system engineering, material science, and so on. And of course, we do have the design departments like architecture and industrial design, and also another department called built environment that focus on infrastructure and project management. All right, and you can see the associated disciplines or subject related to each department. Very quickly, I don't intend to go into the details. This is basically just a slide that shows the journey taken by a typical PhD student. So when you come in to do a PhD program, typically you need to take a coursework. There's this coursework component, usually about 6 modules. It varies a bit depending on the department you are in. And of course, for international students, you may need to take English language. And then on top of that, you need to participate in required doctorate and graduate seminars. Sometimes you are asked to do a presentation as well, and it is graded. Then you need to sit for an exam called qualifying exam. With that, then you qualify to become a formal PhD student, and then you work on your thesis, and then followed by a final oral defense examination. So that is typically the journey taken by a PhD student in our college. Just a bit on the application period, so do bear in mind about the timeline. For our August intake, typically the first intake, especially for international candidates, it will be 1st of January. We do have a round 2 focusing mainly for applicants residing in Singapore. That's in 1st April 2023. And then for January 2024 intake, it will be 1st of July for the first round, and then 1st of September in the second round. All right, so that is the application period. So do take note of the closing date so that you won't miss the application. These are some of the key research areas covered by the 10 departments. Now, because of time constraint, I won't go into the details. And you can see it's rather from data and information system, design and environment, digital twin, energy system, engineering in medicine, healthy and livable cities, infrastructure management, materials, port and quantum engineering, satellite technology, and so on, right? So for those who are interested, please visit our website and you can go into the area that you are interested. There'll be a very detailed description about the research and also highlights of the research work that's done by our colleagues in the college. Lastly, just want to highlight, these are a few of our top researchers. For example, Prof. Din Ho is expert in is mainly marrying engineering with medicine, looking into computing in medicine, right? And we have Professor Liu Bin, who is an expert into nanomaterials and polymer chemistry. We have Prof. Hang, very much into sustainable urban design, a very well-known architect. And of course, we have Konstantin, who is an expert in smart material, and he's a Nobel physics laureate. Right? And then Benti, an expert in soft robotics. And lastly, Hui Ling, very much into disease biosensors and so on. So you can see the college really embarked on research that spread on many, many areas. And also now there's a lot of emphasis on trying to promote interdisciplinary research as well. And that is an exciting field that we're very much trying to get into. So with that, I think I conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Ngoc Kian. So next up, we have Associate Professor Kevin Tan introducing the School of Medicine.
Thanks, Jessica. Yeah, let me just share my slides. Can I be heard clearly?
Yes.
Okay. So I have several slides, so I'll skim through the slides that are not so important so I can keep to time. So I'm Kevin Tan from the Yong Loo Lin School of Medicine. I head the Division of Graduate Studies, and I'd like to share with you what we have to offer in terms of our PhD bio-research programs. So as many of us already know, that the medical school in NUS is one of the leading schools in Asia and perhaps the top 20 globally. So we're very strong in clinical medicine and basic research. And like the bigger faculties like engineering and arts, we have many departments as well. So the departments can be quite traditional ones like anesthesia, anatomy, all the way to those that are more advanced like psychological medicine and so on. We are well supported by research centers, and these research centers mirror the national and sometimes global priorities in certain research domains. So we have behavioral studies, longevity studies, sleep studies, and so on. So our PhD programs also do align with the research centers. So we take our research very seriously. They all occur at the frontiers of medicine. We like to transform our scientific insights into translational outcomes. So ultimately, it's a healthcare institution, so we want to have tangible health benefits when we do our research. Now, in recent years, the school has reorganized itself into translational research programs. There are 5 that are disease-based on the left, such as cancer, cardiovascular disease, and 5 that are platform-based, such as precision medicine and synthetic biology. So PhD programs are also housed within these research programs, and the students will be mentored by very good PhD supervisors who are experts in these domains. So some examples here. This is Sylvia Alonso. She's one of the co-directors of the infectious disease translational research program, and she's working on infectious diseases. She's also part of the PRECISE Ministry of Health program to prepare us for the next pandemic. So we have very established researchers and very good thesis advisors. This is Professor Nicholas Gascoigne, one of the big catch that we had several years ago. He was my former head of department and won the Graduate Mentor of the Year award. So he has a very big lab with a lot of T-cell, CAR-T type projects, and he's also a very good thesis advisor. We have Reshma, who also was a winner, and she's currently the head of physiology, does a lot of cancer research, metabolism research, and so on. Prof. Cheng Wee Ju is Vice Dean for Research, a very well-known clinician scientist. He's an expert in the domain of melanoma research, and also an outstanding mentor. So they're not just good in research, they're good in taking care of PhD students as well and having good outcomes. Another outstanding mentor is Min. She's at the Department of Pharmacology, and she works a lot on extracellular vesicles. She spun out a big company, so she's got a lot of industrial experience as well. So just quickly, we have at steady state about 400 masters or PhD students in our ecosystem. So we take care of a lot of students, and a lot of them are mentored by very strong supervisors. These are just admission requirements that I'll gloss over because this can be These are available on the NUSGS website and also the faculty website. There are several scholarships. If you're a very good student, you can come in on the President's Graduate Fellowship or on the traditional NUS Research Scholarship. Program requirements are all in the website, so I will not go through, but just to say that our PhD follows very much the British system. We have a 4-year scholarship, and the degree should be awarded by the 5th year. And this is about half the time required for a master's by research project. Graduate requirements and all that, typical of any university. For PhD, we expect research as deep and broad and impactful, and for masters, something to a lesser degree. Okay. One thing to highlight is that we have a lot of elective modules within our system. So these are all very good for supplementing your research. And again, you can look at these at our website, but they have things that are like innovation, entrepreneurship, techniques, biology of diseases, and so on. And we do offer some kind of certification to our PhD students. These are academic proficiency badges that you can acquire while doing your research as well. We have joint PhD programs with King's College. You can do half your PhD here, half your PhD at KCL, and also get a double, or you get 2 emblems on your certificate, King's College London and NUS. We also have a similar one for Hebrew University, Jerusalem. So this has been presented before. We have application deadlines, August and January. Just refer to our website for deadlines. They're quite standard for most faculties. So we have buddy programs so that foreign students who come will have someone to talk to. And our students do very well. Just like in every faculty, this is a top university, so we win university level awards, faculty awards, and we publish very well. Now the impact factor we go is 20 and above for our students, and sometimes better than the professors, right? So the students are extremely talented and they push the boundaries of research for the faculty. I won't go about this. We have milestone events like the PQEs and PhD Defense, and we have many events and activities to enrich your experience. And we also celebrate. We have our inaugural celebration at the Fullerton Hotel, right? So you come, we have 5-star treatment for faculty and students, and you get to enjoy and celebrate this prestigious event at the end of your journey with us. So thank you very much, and happy to take questions later.
Great. Thank you so much, Kevin. So next up, we have Associate Professor Suzaina Kadir, who will tell us more about the LKY SPP program.
Right. Thanks, Jessica. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to share my screen as well so that I can show some slides. Okay. And let me move to share. Is this visible now to everyone?
Yeah, looks good.
Okay, good. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to all of you this afternoon. I wanted a chance to introduce the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, as well as the PhD program. So the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, we're an autonomous school within the larger university. Our focus has been and continues to be about governance for the future. We're striving to transform lives and build a sustainable world with good governance and a focus on excellent leadership. In terms of milestones, we really began as a graduate program within the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences. And that was a graduate program known as the Masters in Public Policy. The school itself came about in 2004. That was when a decision was taken to actually establish the school. And so the school came into being in academic year 2004-2005. In 2007, we set up the Masters in Public Administration, which is a 1-year master's degree program. Our sort of youngest program that we have is the Masters in International Affairs, and that was established in 2017. The PhD program came into being in 2008. So the school is relatively young, our PhD program also relatively young, and we only offer graduate programs. So it's primarily masters by coursework and the PhD program in research. In terms of core research areas at the school, we really have 4 broad areas. That is in international relations and global governance, studying particularly power shifts taking place in Asia, of course, in the context of the rise of China and India, and exploring geopolitical implications of this shift. Of course, we also focus on economic development and competitiveness, looking at the region's economic transformation, trade, investment, economic integration, and competitiveness, particularly of secondary cities in Southeast Asia. We look at public management and governance, looking at how governments across Asia respond to key policy challenges and promoting sustainable development. Of course, we are also focused on social policy in Asia, particularly in Singapore. These areas of core research are reflected in our key research centers that are housed at the school. They include the Asia Competitiveness Institute, the Center for Asia and Globalization, the Institute of Policy Studies, IPS, which focuses on social policy, particularly in Singapore, and what was previously known as the Institute of Water Policy, but is being, even as we speak, transformed into an Institute for Sustainability and the Environment, or what we call ICE. We're about to launch ICE, but that's the transformation as I can describe it now. Right? So these are the 4 research centers that we have here at the school, as I already mentioned, with this transformation of the Institute of Water Policy to something a lot larger, looking at environment, climate change, and such questions with regards to sustainability, including something like food security. I wanted to also highlight several of our strategic academic partners. So we are a key part, and in fact, we are one of the founding partners of the Global Public Policy Network. The Global Public Policy Network is made up of these universities. So the School of International and Public Affairs in Columbia University, or known as CIPA, the London School of Economics, the Sciences Po School of Public Affairs, that's in Paris, the Hertie School of Governance in Germany, University of Tokyo GRASP, as well as a key institute in Sao Paulo, Brazil. We are also a partner of the APSIA schools, which is the Association of Professional Schools of International Affairs. I think we pride ourselves on being a truly global school and global classroom, and this is across the board for all our master's program as well as our PhD program. Generally, we have 30 over nationalities that are represented in the class. This is a broad sort of percentages in terms of where students come from, ASEAN, India, China, Singapore, as well as the rest of the world. The rest of the world, we are looking at students who are coming in from the United States, of course, from Europe and the UK, as well as from Latin America. But these are the broad percentages as you see them. Okay, so let me get a little bit more focused on the PhD program. Our PhD program is designed for those who are interested ultimately to pursue an academic career in a university or an institution where intensive research is a core function. So it's really focused on building public policy research skills. This may come up later in the question, but sometimes students do ask whether we offer PhDs which are much more professional in nature. Currently, our PhD program as it's designed isn't quite tailored to that. In other words, a professional PhD, so to speak, for career officers. Sorry about that. In terms of our class dynamics, as I mentioned, this is a very relatively new program. It's also a very small program. For this current year, we have a total of 7 PhD students. So year on year, we accept between 5 to 7 students. We are, of course, keen to increase the numbers to maybe about 10, but we don't expect its fundamental expansion, to anything to 20. We would like to keep it small, very focused and very targeted. We've got about 14% who are Singaporeans. The average age of our PhD students is about 30. And our PhD students come in with quite a bit of work experience. So average years of work experience is about 7. In terms of which sectors they come from, about 43% come from non-governmental sector, another 29% come from for-profit, which is the private sector, and about 29% are actually fresh graduates having completed their master's degree somewhere else. 86% are really international students, as I mentioned. In terms of the gender distribution, we only have about 29% female, 71% male. So we're actually very keen to increase the percentage of female students admitted into the program. Here are the backgrounds of some of our current PhD students, where they come from and the kind of work that they did in the past. I'll just let you read through them. Talita, for example, used to be a behavioral scientist from Save the Children International. She's from Indonesia. Charlene, who's about to graduate, used to be a research officer in the South Asia Watch on Trade, Economics and the Environment. He's Nepalese. Kim, also about to graduate, used to be a data in global health. And in fact, she's just completed her PhD. In terms of job placements, here are some examples of where our PhD students have gone. Kiji actually flowed through having completed his master's in public policy at LKY-SPP, and then went on to pursue his PhD with us. He's now an associate professor at the University of Amsterdam. Alta Virani is an assistant professor at Monash University. Nihit is at Delft University. Chris is at the Education University of Hong Kong. Bria is an LSE fellow currently. Ruji is with the World Bank. And Bali is currently with ANU. Here are some of the faculty on our side who are serving as LKY thesis advisors. Again, it shows you a little bit of their background. Aras is currently the PhD program chair. He has a very interesting background. He actually comes with a background in engineering and IT, and then moved on to looking at policy issues and began to focus really on ICT and tech. So his current work is really looking at artificial intelligence and autonomous system. He has this very popular course on building the cities of tomorrow. Dan comes to us with a public health background. She's been looking particularly at prescription drug policy in the United States. She's been with us for about 3 years now. Professor Ramesh really is a well-known figure looking at public policy in Asia. His research has focused on public health, education policy, and also on housing. He's had experiences also in Hong Kong, so he came from Hong Kong to us. Saravana is an assistant professor working on development economics, human capital formation, migration, and his current research really looks at mobile banking, particularly in South Asia, with a core focus in Bangladesh. Marina Canetti has a very interesting research focus looking at sort of non-traditional security areas, particularly on migrants, climate change, looking at the BRI project, but really in terms of its impact on culture and sort of culture policies for both China as well as Southeast Asia. So in terms of program information, again, some of this will be available to you actually online. The duration of the program is about 4 years. It trains as I mentioned, the next generation of thought leaders with analytical skills, really meant to generate, evaluate, and communicate research and public policy. So the focus is really on public policy research. The candidates coming in and applying to the program should be looking at ultimately an academic career or research-oriented career, as opposed to within that, as I mentioned, within that professional space. The research focus is really on policy studies, public management and governance, social policy, international relations and global governance, as well as economic development and competitiveness. I'll end off with this final slide and then get to any questions later on. This is a breakdown of the core curriculum. There are 9 core modules, an independent study module. You also have to do obviously electives. And then like most of the graduate programs at NUS, you know, there are qualifying, PhD qualifying exams before you move on to the actual research work after you finish the oral qualifying exams. All right. Again, this is very self-explanatory. In terms of the core, we've got core modules in the foundations, both in public policy and public administration. We have a core module on economics, a core module on essentially politics of public policy, and then a very strong focus on methods as well as research design before ultimately you take the qualifying exams. I'll stop here and then answer any questions that any of you might have later on. Thank you very much.
Great, thanks. Yeah, great. Thanks so much, Suzaina. Next we'll have Professor Bao Weizhu, who will tell us more about the Faculty of Science PhD program. Weizhu. I think you're on mute. We still can't hear you. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Thank you. Okay, so this is Bao Weizhu from Faculty of Science of FOS in short, and FOS welcome you to join us. Okay, so FOS is one of the oldest and the most established faculty in science in Singapore. Our vision is to be among the world's best in science education and research. Our mission is to provide quality education, foster the spirit of enterprise, and conduct leading-edge research to advance knowledge in science technology for the benefit of Singapore and the global community. So FOS has 8 academic units, including 7 departments in biological sciences, chemistry, food science technology, mathematics, pharmacy, physics, statistics and data science, and the Li Kuang Qian Natural History Museum. Okay, so our academic program, our departments, so are ranked so-called top of the top in Asia. Most are number 1, number 2, or they call TOT, top of the top, like number 2 in all the areas, all areas, and also at the top in the world, like number 8, number 10, or in all most areas, based on the recent this year's QS World University ranking. So we have 7 PhD program, 5 master research or MBR in short, and 12 master coursework. Another 3 will be launched next year. So if you're interested in our graduate program, you can scan this QR code to get all the information, including admission, graduate requirement, and also for PhD, also scholarship information through our web pages. Here is the 7 PhD program, including biological sciences, chemistry, food science technology, mathematics, pharmacy, physics, and statistics and data science. Again, if you want to know more information about our admission requirement, graduate requirement, curriculum, or scholarship, including our FOS top-up, through you can scan this QR code to get all the information. Of course, in general, we follow the NUS grad school requirement and guideline. Of some program, we have additional requirement. You can get all the data information through this through our web page. Okay, so here I show you some of our research product. The number of research publication by FOS researchers from this Web of Science. So our number of paper from the AY academic year 2017 to 2018, about 1,466. Well, the number also similar, over 1,000 per year roughly, and many of them are co-authored by our PhD students with the first author or authors. In addition, the bottom is show the number of articles in selected top journals by NUS researcher. Majority are from FOS, like in 5 years, from 2017 to 2021. We have like 65 Nature, 45 articles in Science, 23 articles in Cell, and also 172 papers in PNUS, Proceeding Academy of Science of the USA. And the red picture is the latest, our white science building in the FOS cluster. There are little state-of-art equipment there, and also the ocean view lab there. If you join us, you maybe have an office in this building. Okay, so here I show you some of our job placement of our PhD graduates from FOS. They are landed like in academic university, like University of Minnesota in USA, McGill in Canada, EPFL in Switzerland. Here I mean faculty position, not postdoc, faculty position. And University of Edinburgh in UK, and US in Singapore, Waseda University in Japan, and also like Peking U, Tsinghua U, or Fudan U in China, as well as University of Science and Technology of Hong Kong in Hong Kong SAR, China, and more. Our graduates also placed in A-Star Institute, Singapore, or Chinese Academy of Sciences in this kind of world-leading research institutes. Also, they are placed in R&D industry like finance, AI, internet, food, semiconductor, supply chain, chemical, or medicine industries. Okay, so here maybe I'll give you some few reasons why you want to choose FOS as your PhD home university in the future. So we have established track record. We have our rigorous, broad-based curriculum and impactful research have helped shape Singapore's scientific landscape in education research. And also we have world-class faculty members, many people, and also springboard to great career. Also, we have some international research opportunities. Our faculty members have fostered strong research collaboration across multiple countries and disciplines. So here maybe some few reasons for you to why you want to choose study for graduate study in Singapore. You know, Singapore, we can provide cultural diversity. We are like the crossroad between Western and Eastern culture, and also we provide a wealth of opportunities. And also, Singapore is, you know, is one of the most safe city in the world. We have safe environment, and also we this is kind of a strategic location between east and west, south and north, like a north of Asia and Asia Pacific region. Okay, last slide is if you join FOS at NUS, we commit to provide 360 degrees support for your academic training, PhD advice for your research, student life support, safety training, and career advisory service to help you through your graduate study at the FOS and NUS and beyond. So welcome you and hope to see you at the FOS campus in August 2023. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, Wei Zhu. So next up, we have Professor Silke Vogel, who will tell us more about the Duke NUS PhD program.
All right, thank you. Thank you. It was a great presentation from all of my colleagues on NUS. So I will talk a little bit about our school at Duke NUS. We are situated not on the main campus, but at Singhealth, at the Singhealth hospital cluster here at Outram Road. And Duke NUS is actually a collaboration, came together between Duke University, North Carolina, and the National University of Singapore. Similar to what Prof. Suzanne said earlier, I just wanted to show you how young our school is and point out that we just founded in 2005. We took in medical students in 2007, and that's a different program than the PhD program. But we only had the possibility to start really a PhD program in 2010. So now about 12 years ago. We started a PhD program called Integrative Biology and Medicine. It's our largest program, and we take about 20 to 25 students each year. And I will mostly focus on this one throughout my talk. In 2017, because we know there's a big, strong effort on data analysis and data in basic science, we also launched a PhD program in quantitative biology and medicine, and that's basically biostatistics and bioinformatics. And I only have 2 slides on this, and I'm happy to answer questions around that. In 2018, we've launched our 3rd PhD program in clinical and translational sciences, and I will not touch upon this. This is really on clinical science, and it's geared mostly towards clinicians to complete a PhD in basic science, but we also welcome students who would like to focus on clinical and translational science to apply for this. Quickly, our research environment, just to give you a quick research output that we have at Duke NUS. As you know, we are a pretty young school. We're actually a pretty small school. We have 70 tenure or tenure track faculty, research faculty, but we have quite a good high research success and output. And these are just some numbers that I wanted to show, because we're looking a lot of translation of science from bench to bedside. Sorry, and what you can see, we have, of course, invention. We have a lot of inventions being coming out of the laboratories. We have startups and licenses, 16. We have created a lot of capital and interest around our inventions and patents. We also have very strong active industry research collaborations, and we pride us to also receive a good amount of active industry funding. More importantly, despite being a fairly small school under the NUS system, our research has already put Singapore on the map, and there's a lot of companies based that are founded or spun out of Duke NUS based on Duke NUS inventions. And this includes medtech, biotech, and precision medicine. And I'm not going to go through each company, but you can see the most prominent 7 companies that have come out of Duke NUS or founded together with our faculty. So it's quite impressive. And it really reaches from the basic science, immunology, to medtech and precision medicine. Physically, as I said, we have a building here at the Outram campus. It's an 11-story building. We have 5 research floors with state-of-the-art facilities, open lab space. Each faculty has sort of a space in a larger laboratory. The lab space is open, collaborative oriented, so everybody can talk to each other. And we also always improve our core facilities to make sure we're up to date with our research. research capabilities. We have a very strong partnership, of course, on the island with NUS, but also with Biopolis A-Star, and we work closely still with Duke NUS, with Duke in North Carolina, and with Singapore General Hospital. Coming to our PhD, our programs, we have a doctor of medicine, we have a dual degree, an MD PhD degree, and we offer 3 PhD programs. I'm going to talk a little bit about our integrated biology and medicine program. Integrated biology and medicine program really is a basic science program where we study disease mechanisms and translational concepts, and it's a joint PhD program between Duke and NUS. So I realize there's a big offering of PhD programs within NUS and within Duke NUS, and each student and each applicant should really evaluate each PhD program and see what fits them. Not every program fits every student. So I just sort of try to figure out what are the unique aspects, why you might want to come or consider Duke NUS. I think sort of these are the 4 points that I see are very much our strength. We conduct research in our unique signature research programs. We don't have classical departments. We have very strong mentorship because we are a small student body and the faculty can really passionately mentor our students. We provide a lot of opportunity to give presentation, to evaluate presentation, to do some coursework for students to gain critical thinking skills, and then for them to acquire competencies in scientific research. And we have a fairly robust career development program developed over the last couple of years. When I say we do research not in department, we have signature research programs. We are a small school, so we divided up the research not along biology, biophysics, molecular biology, or biochemistry. We grouped them around disease area that are important to Singapore. And these are sort of the 5 areas. There's cancer, STEM biology, neuroscience, cardiovascular metabolic disorders, and emerging infectious disease. These are sort of the 4 basic science departments that look at basic science in correlation with the disease and try to come up with translational research. In addition, we have a dry lab component, health services and systems research, also part of the PhD program, where we really look at making the health system and health services sustainable for the future. And the gentlemen in these pictures are the program directors of each of the programs, and then each program has about 15 faculty, and then of course we have our postdocs, research assistants and students. The strong science and mentorship can also be seen. We have published out of Duke NUS over 5,000 papers by now in international peer-reviewed journals. We're harvesting a lot of research money within Singapore, and we are successful translation of discoveries. And again, faculty has a lot of close relationships to our students, very close mentoring. And from very early on, we built a thesis advisory committee around our students so that each student has about 4 mentors around them to make sure they are successful in their endeavor. We have a research-centered curriculum, and you heard earlier from Bruce, in the American, be a little bit like the American system, where we have some classes to take, but not too much. But we really believe and also have a structured classes for the PhD students, but it's about only 3 classes. So when you first come in, you have a foundation class, and then you take 2 classes in the specific program. I wanted to point out one thing on the curriculum overview here. When the students come into the program, you have to take 3 lab rotations of your choice. So this is because we have a central admissions committee, central admissions, where the student applies to the program, and we want them to apply to the program on a program level rather than on a laboratory level. So that means once they come into the program, then they will decide which laboratory they will go into. And this is very important to us, to then do 3 lab rotations. That gives them enough time to figure out what is a good setting for them, can they work with that professor, and so forth. And then in the second semester, they start the thesis research. We have a qualifying exam, what you heard earlier from the other professors, and we have, of course, a dissertation defense. But it's very important for us that students have a first author paper before they graduate. Just 2 slides on quantitative biology and medicine. This is really using big data, so applying computational and statistical tools to answer questions in biology and medicine. And so there's 2 selections. You can do biostatistics and health data science, or you can computational biology or bioinformatics. This is the only PhD granting program as such in Singapore. And it really works in 2 centers, one in the bioinformatics centers, the other one in our biostatistics centers. And excellent career opportunities is this one. I think everybody can appreciate this. Just 2 slides on our students. We have about 105 students, so it's not a lot. Most of them are the IBM program. Some of them, a quarter, are MD PhD students. They mostly come 50%, close to 50% are Singaporeans. Then we have many from the other areas of Asia. And we have a few Europeans and North Americans. Mostly students come in with a bachelor's, but some have their master's. The most question is, where does the PhD go? So first of all, students are very successful in publishing papers, but we have now followed the students. So we had our first students come out in 2015. So we have followed them now over 7 years. And I have to say, we have 12% of our students in the private sector with companies. Some did a postdoc and then went to companies, but some were directly hired by local overseas, very renowned companies. Others joined the government or NGO sector. And then of course we have research fellows in Singapore and overseas. Quite a good track record. Career development program. From day one, we provide you with seminars, career paths for scientists, mentorships, insights, and networking. We also have a lot of workshops for you and one-on-one coaching, and including well-being support. And we have monetary support for you to attend overseas conferences, because this is a very important part to develop yourself. We have a student council that organizes student research symposiums. We also have a Duke Nus exchange program, and we have a lot of fun trying to do this. And just like my other colleague says, we also have graduation dinner, and some really nice 5-star treatment at the end of your road. And hope to see you in our program on our campus. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, Silke. So I think by now, hopefully all of you have a broad overview of the PhD, the range of PhD programs that we offer at NUS. I also want to introduce 2 other people who are on the panel who would be also happy to take questions. That would be our Dean of the NUS Graduate School, Professor Shen Zhuowei, as well as the Deputy Dean of the NUS Graduate School, Professor Wong Lim Soon. So again, I think we have about an hour or 50 minutes or so where really the floor is wide open for all of you to ask questions. You can do so in 2 ways. Feel free to type your questions in the Q&A box. But if you prefer, just asking your question directly, you can use the raise hand function in the on Zoom, and I will unmute you, and you can just ask your question directly. In the same way, if you have asked a question on the Q&A box and it hasn't been answered fully, or you have a follow-up question, feel free to just raise your hand, and we would be happy to take them. So just to get the ball rolling, I think we have a series of questions that have been building up in the Q&A box. So I think the first question is something that several of the panelists have already touched on, which is this prospects for doing interdisciplinary work. So maybe just very briefly, can I invite some of the panelists to share their thoughts on the prospects of entering or pursuing interdisciplinary studies as part of their PhD? And I think there is also a more general question by Charlene, which is, what do you guys look for, in successful PhD applicants to your program? So again, I know this is a big and broad question, and so I think just to maybe curate things a bit, we can start with perhaps maybe anyone wants to sort of take the lead.
Cross-disciplinary and interdisciplinary. Maybe I can help answer that. The NUS actually has a program called the Integrative Sciences and Engineering program. These are mostly for STEM students to pursue interdisciplinary research, or for students who are crossing into a new discipline. So the program is specifically designed for that, and so mainly your students are given 1 semester to do lab rotations, and they can choose 2 supervisors from 2 disciplines to help them. So it's specifically designed for that purpose. However, I think individual PhD program in different departments are increasingly also have cross-disciplinary interest. So for example, if you were here this morning, you will hear
Professor Liu Bin from Chemical Engineering. She's using a lot of machine learning in generating potential new design for nanomaterials. So increasingly the classical discipline will also use cross-disciplinary elements. So if you are interested in that, maybe you can also look at the primary department and look at the specific professors. Some professor may have more interest in like using tools and techniques for other disciplines, or may have interest in applying what they know in one discipline to a different discipline. So you can either look at the ISEP, the Integrated Sciences Engineering program, or look into the specific program, but check out the professors.
Yeah, maybe just to build on Prof. Wong's point, yes. I mean, a lot of it is checking out specific professors, because let's say most PhD students have a thesis committee of 3 different professors. And generally speaking, at least your main supervisor will normally be in your home department, but the other members of your thesis committee can come from other departments or even other faculties. So as long as you're sort of firmly rooted in one particular department or one faculty, you can bring in people from other faculties, from other departments, and also take a certain number of modules in those departments or faculties, so that to some extent you do have the flexibility to kind of build your own program.
Also, I want to remark that if NUS in last 10 years, we are really encouraged the interdisciplinary research and in fact also interdisciplinary studies. Our undergraduate education also now is quite interdisciplinary and broader base. And of course, for research wise, I think many of our professors is he or she his and her research are already interdisciplinary. Also, they are very open-minded. They like to cross-discipline, and you can other links and all this you can check. But one thing, okay, all the students you have, we encourage interdisciplinary. We all in the future, many of research will be interdisciplinary research. But you also remember you should have a discipline. Okay, to do the cross-disciplinary and interdisciplinary. You have to build your expertise in some area. That's also important. Okay, only that your interdisciplinary become much more meaningful. Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. So maybe we can also transition to the second part of the question by posing a couple of questions that's a bit more medicine related to Kevin. So I think there were 2 questions on more related to the School of Medicine, although one part of it is also quite general. So the first question is, to pursue studies at School of Medicine, can we specifically apply for PhD in specializations? So for example, very specifically in PhD in neuroscience and apply to the individual labs as well.
Maybe I can take that first. So our PhD is a NUS level PhD. So there's no specialization for the research topic, but that doesn't stop the candidate from applying to a particular lab with a particular expertise. So neuroscience, for example, cancer biology, and so on. The coursework you take can be somewhat specialized. We have this something like an accreditation program, so you can have this proficiency badges in a certain topic. And we do encourage you to take a topic that's different from what you're studying to align with the interdisciplinary education initiative. So that's the general thing. But in the School of Medicine, there's a Cancer Science Institute, right? So they do have some PhDs available for cancer research. So that's more an exception than the rule. So in general, we just have a generic PhD, but you can choose the topics depending on your interest in the particular department or with a particular supervisor.
Cool, thanks. And I think just to sort of follow up on that, so I think there's another question about the again the PhD in School of Medicine. This is Wu Yun, and he or she would like to ask. I would like to ask if we apply to the general PhD program and choose electives, or only one core PhD for the School of Medicine. So it's related to what you just said. And then I think she also asked, can the panel suggest what are the types of profiles that they look forward to in general? Yeah.
You mean student profiles, right?
I think student profile, so like what can boost your chance for admission?
So I think it may differ for different faculties, but in general, there are some things that we all look for, and that's a drive, hunger, curiosity in the students. But we did an internal benchmarking recently, and we found out if students publish before they enter, it's more likely they will publish when they exit. In fact, it's a 5 times higher chance. So internally, we look for people who have published while doing their master's or undergraduate courses, because that tells us that they have this interest and ability to write papers. But my colleagues in other faculties may have other they look for other factors, and maybe they would like to share.
Yes.
Can I go? Sorry.
Oh, sorry, Bruce. Just let me, because I'm from the science. So let me just go. So thanks, Kevin. So similar Duke Nus. So we're also trying to always figure out which student excels the best, right? And comes out with papers and really sets himself or herself up for success. It's interesting, papers, yes, some sort of publication before definitely is very much a benchmark, having presentations or posters as a minimum, somewhere presentations. But if that is not accomplished, I think a student must have research experience before they come to the program. They must have had some track record as an internship or a year between a bachelor's and coming in, or throughout their undergrads, really strong science experience, and those students really excel in our program. I assume the same at NUS. That's what we see. So I encourage all the students to really look into doing a research internship or an RA for a year to really get to know them, to really understand what research is also about, to avoid some of the hurdles and the disappointments along the way.
Jessica, could I go back to there was a question earlier that I saw about how easy it is to apply for a PhD with only a bachelor's degree.
Yes.
In our faculty, the economics department, I believe, and Prof. Pan can say more about that, is the most open to taking students directly from an undergraduate degree, and they will often take students with an undergraduate engineering degree if they have the quantitative training. Psychology also will take a certain number of students with that directly from undergraduate. Most of our other departments would prefer you to have a master's degree first before you come into the PhD, preferably a master's by research, but it doesn't have to be. If you have done a master's by coursework, or what they call a taught master's in the UK, we would certainly seriously consider you. What we are looking for is research potential and a good idea, fairly clear idea of a research topic. Most of our departments do want a fairly serious thesis proposal, and that can be changed later on. It's not set in stone, but the point is to show us that you are applying to us, that you're coming to us with a clear research topic and an idea of what has been written on that already and where you would want to go with it.
Okay, I want to also, there are different faculty may have a different kind of practice. Like in the most for STEM faculty, like science, engineering, and computer science, I think they do take a majority of PhD students they take from the first undergraduate degree. Okay, we are not saying you must have a master. Most of students we take in, they are just get a first degree, undergraduate degree. Okay, it depends. Okay. So it just depends which faculty you are applying for.
Yeah, maybe I just want to add that for College of Design and Engineering, yeah, we are open to admission for students with a bachelor degree. But of course, normally we look for those bachelor degree with excellent results, especially for those who have some research experience. For example, we even admit bachelor degree students with publication. This is the thing that we are looking for. Yeah.
Great, thanks.
Let me just add that, yeah, usually if you have a bachelor degree, we pretty much look at a first-class honors in computer science.
Yeah.
So I think that brings us also to a sort of similar question by Kuan Nguyen. He's interested in PhD programs in computer science or data science, but his background is not related too much to this program. However, he's had a bit of experience, naturally in computer science, and I think he's looking for some advice on how sort of the various vice deans or admissions committees will view this, not having experience directly in the subject, the PhD subject. So maybe we can turn this to School of Computing as well as Faculty of Science to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, if we're definitely looking for people who have a strong computer science background to get into a computer science PhD program. But in school computing, we do also have an information system analytics department. I believe their PhD program, I mean from computer science, but the IS analytics department perhaps can take even students with a strong social science skill, and they perhaps towards more multidisciplinary cutting across business and social science. So depending what you bachelor and master degree background, so you could either choose computer science or information system analytics. Yeah, depending if you're more, let's say if you get a bachelor degree in mathematics, statistics, perhaps you can really directly apply computer science program, because many, for instance, machine learning is heavily rely on statistics and the data science and so on. But if you have a business background, maybe you can look into information system analytics department, a PhD program.
Yeah, and if you have engineering background like mechanical engineering, there's no problem joining computer science, especially if your interest is in area like robotics and things like that. Then you also have the choice of, we do have an Institute of Data Science, and they offer for students who are specifically interested in data science. And then of course, there is the Integrated Sciences and Engineering program that are specifically designed for students who are crossing disciplines.
Yeah.
So at the FOS, we have several departments have program related to data science, mathematics, optimization, statistics, and even theoretical physics. So as long as your major in your undergrad study is related to quantitative area, you are always welcome to apply. And if you are in this area, of course, you have a good chance. But if you are not in this area, you need to show some other shining points that we will see you could be succeed if we admit you. Of course, you are recommended to apply. If you don't apply, of course, no chance to you, right?
Yeah, so that's very good advice. I think in general, if you think that you might have a good fit for the program, or it's something that you're very interested, I think in general, we don't have very rigid rules in that sense. In terms of admissions criteria, it's considered somewhat holistically. Grades, profile, work experience, research potential, personal statement, research proposal. So I think you shouldn't be too worried about sort of the hard and fast constraints in thinking about whether or not to apply.
Can I just add something?
Yeah. Go ahead,
I think from next year onwards, I think everyone should try to take a GRE so that the university can evaluate a common exam to evaluate the quality of the students too.
Okay, so there's a question from ST that I think is a bit more directed to probably Kevin and Silke. So this is so ST says, I am a clinical doctor who is interested in embarking on a PhD. If I am interested in drug discovery and design, as that may be relevant to my clinical specialty, what are the kinds of programs that might be relevant?
Maybe I can go first, and then Silke.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So in fact, we are increasingly taking on clinicians into our PhD program. So we have quite a vibrant drug discovery program within the School of Medicine. The Department of Pharmacology particularly has a lot of excellent PIs who do drug discovery, and we link up very much with NUH to see whether we can translate this into clinical trials and so on. So I think a 4 to 5 year PhD is really pretty good for multidisciplinary project involving screening for drugs and testing out safety and so on. And I think with a clinical background, ST, you may have maybe a special advantage compared to someone with just basic science or just purely clinical. So if you're clinical with a penchant for research, that might make you maybe a budding clinician scientist. Yeah, so contact me or contact Silke if there's more that you need to know, and we can hook you up with the relevant parties. Silke, over to you.
Yes, thanks, Kevin. I think well put. So at Duke Nus, as I said, we have a PhD program in clinical and translational sciences. So that's really geared towards clinicians who would like go into a PhD program in science. And we will also take, of course, just like Kevin, take in the clinicians, but it's really interested if you do clinical trial and patient outcome work. We don't have a direct drug discovery. So if you really drug discovery, I think NUS is probably the better choice on that. But as Kevin said, just email us separately or together, and then we can sort of guide you on the road what's sort of best for you.
Okay, great. So there is a somewhat general question by Emmanuel Donker. He's a chemical engineering graduate, and I think he's looking for graduate opportunities in MSc or mechanical engineering at NUS. So I imagine there's quite a bit. And I think he's interested in whether there's any financial aid available. So maybe Lim Soon, do you want to answer this?
You apply for master degree program. So,
yes.
So generally there is no or very little scholarships for master degree programs. So but there are some master degree program that has some scholarships. So you have to check with the specific program you are applying with. But if you're looking for research, then for chemical engineering, I assume you're applying for chemical engineering related studies. You can actually apply directly as a bachelor for a PhD study if you're interested in research. Then it will come with scholarship.
Maybe I just want to add that, Emmanuel, right? Your BTech is from NUS, I presume. Regardless, right? Because you mentioned graduate opportunity, I do not quite know whether do you refer to coursework or do you refer to research? But we do have a master by research in chemical engineering. So I encourage you perhaps to find out more from the Department of Chemical Engineering, like what Prof. Wong Lim Soon has mentioned. Scholarship for master level research indeed is not that easily available, but sometimes the department do provide some kind of financial assistance to our applicants. So you can find out more from the department if you are interested.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prof. If you could hear me. I'm Emmanuel from Ghana, West Africa. I've been following NUS for quite a while now. It's a great school, and I really want to do my master's or PhD there because I've realized it's part of one of the best schools to offer chemical engineering as a graduate program. So I wanted to find out if I could do that. I've realized the admissions will be open in January if I stand to be corrected.
Yes.
So I'm keeping tabs on that to apply. And then I wanted to also find out if there are any, Prof said there's an opportunity to go straight into the PhD program from the master's, from the undergrad certificate. So I was also trying to find out if there are any graduate assistantship with regards to the PhD or the graduate program. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, do find out more from the department. If you need any information or help, yeah, you can write to me as well.
Yeah, I can also add that in general, for STEM discipline, there is no need for a master degree to pursue PhD. You can directly go bachelor to PhD, apply for PhD. In fact, that is our preference.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, Prof. Thank you very much.
So I think there was a question from Chloe. Chloe, I've actually unmuted you if you'd like to ask your question directly.
Yes, I've unmuted. So hello there. It's just following ST's question about someone with a clinical background applying for a PhD in perhaps drug discovery. So I was just wondering, how should one with a clinical background highlight their scientific research potential in the application that they submit?
Usually there's a research statement that you can provide. And that research statement, you can make your highlight, right? So like what research you have participated in what, what kind of, how you were interested in the particular problems, why you were interested in it, and also perhaps relating some of the experiences or difficulties that you have to overcome to pursue that, that kind of research. That would, all this you can describe in the research statement that when you make an application.
Also, I want to emphasize for the research-wise, of course, if you have a high quality research record or a good publication, that's is a bigger plus. But we do take many students that did not write any paper they come. But when we read their statement, we look for their passion for research and whether they have some experience, have some thinking about the research. Okay, so thinking don't need to be a mature kind of research project because you come to learn to do research. Okay, so you have a research, of course, you will put on your CV. It's a plus. But we do have many students with tech that don't have never written any paper. But we can read their research statement. We know that they are passionate, and also when the people interview them, they can see they really love research. Also, it's good enough. Okay.
Can I also add? So, for example, if you are a medical student, you may take UROPS. That means you attach yourself to a lab, and you say that you have done some kind of research in your CV. So there are places where you can fill your research experience. It may not result in a paper, but so long as you participated in competition, research competition, you participated in any kind of conferences, and all these, those are counted too as your research experience.
Sorry, this is Silke. So Chloe, do I understand you're a clinician right now and you might not have a lot of research background?
For myself, well, I'm actually a pharmacy graduate.
Okay.
So back when I was in my undergraduate days, I was involved in research projects, but those are more in silico molecular modeling type of research rather than like wet lab research. And because as part of the pharmacy training that I'm involved in, but I'm actually trained in the UK at the moment, we are also involved in some patient research where we deal with patient and prescribing data. So I was just wondering, considering how these type of research that they are not lab-based or directly translatable, so I'm just wondering how should I use those to reflect my potential in terms of doing something that's more like wet laboratory drug discovery based, where some laboratory skills would be expected.
Well, I think as the panel said, not everybody expects really hardcore laboratory skills. If you can show that you actually have done science at a certain point, that's how I would view it, and you have experience and you actually have the passion and you would like to expand now into the basic science, I think it's probably an approach that you could take.
Yeah, I think I can echo Joy. So in your case, you want to explain why suddenly now you want to pursue research, but maybe your past experience inspire you in some way that motivates you to say, I want to now do a research on this problem, that problem. So if you explain that, that may help convey the genuine passion that you have. And also the way you explain it may also help to illustrate how you think about the particular problem you want to solve, right? So that will also help the selection committee to be convinced that you are suitable for research, for PhD studies.
So I may add, you can write your statement or other to show your motivation or dedication. Also in your application, you need 2 or 3 referee letters. So if you can find someone who you work with, some professor who may be known by NUS admission team, whether you are good or you are whatever in their review report, which they can really concrete some comments about your ability, even to other projects. So that you have this track record to show you that you have motivation dedicated to the research. Of course, you don't show that you have done something good. Of course, if you teach another area, which show you have potential to do good in another area too.
Great, thank you. So there is a question by Faiza. Faiza, I've unmuted you, so you can go ahead to ask the question.
Good afternoon. I'm from India. I have background in zoology and I'm now working in bioinformatics project. I would like to pursue my PhD in biomedical science. So which branch would you suggest would be better for me to cope up with and also use my skills in biomedical science?
I guess if you have zoology background, maybe you it depends on the kind of bioinformatics you want to do, but certainly I would think that some professor in the medical school may be able to advise your thesis, and some professor in the public health may be able to advise your thesis. Of course, the integrated sciences program will be designed for a student like you who is crossing discipline, but it really depends on finding the right professor for the kind of problems you want to work on. Bioinformatics is very broad, right?
So another thing is that I think in medicine, we take a lot of life science students. So zoology is part of life sciences, I think should be okay. The most important thing is what are you passionate about, whether you can identify someone or at least a few supervisors that you would like to rotate in. And yeah, I think maybe Kevin can say more about that.
I think thanks, Caroline. Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Bioinformatics is very broad, right? And again, we're not sure what zoological area you researched in. It's best to look at the profiles of the various professors in the departments and see whether they match you. If you're still vague about it, can contact me or Caroline to have a one-to-one chat to elaborate further. Now we have a new department, a department of biomedical informatics, and there's a lot of very strong bioinformaticians there. So it is a blossoming field within the School of Medicine. So there may be an opportunity, but again, it depends exactly on what you mean by bioinformatics and what is your research question. Ultimately, we don't want to look at just data and more data. For PhD, we want to know what the data means and what does it translate to. So students sometimes have a problem with that. They say, I got a lot of data, I should get a PhD. So it's not about data, it's about what it means and how does it impact the biology and so on. I hope that helps.
Yeah, I think Silke has a program there too.
Oh yeah, we have. So just to add, we have also we have a program in bioinformatics and biostatistics. So we're welcome to apply there. We take definitely life science students that are interested in handling big data and working with our biologists and basic scientists together to identify new drugs, things like that. So similar to what Kevin said, it can't just be bioinformatics on data. It has to be super correlated with the biology question. But yeah. You should look us up on Duke Nus site. Thanks.
Great. Thank you. So I think there was a question on scholarships by Kuan. Kuan, I've unmuted you. Do you want to ask the question live?
Yeah, good afternoon, Professor. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I confused a little bit about the scholarship because NUS provide a huge number of scholarship, and I understand that it's depend on each program. And when we apply to the graduate admission system, we can choose one or several of them. And if the candidates is approved, so that also means we are qualified for the scholarship, right?
So you're talking about PhD or master?
PhD.
Okay, so usually, yes, for PhD, the admission comes with the scholarship.
Yes.
Well,
but there may be different kinds of scholarships. So you may get a basic one or you may get a premier one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in your particular case, you probably can try the Singer, because if you come from Vietnam and are interested in computer science, there is a Singer scholarship, might be able to fit you quite well and give you a bit of advantage to get that kind of scholarship.
In any case, if you need a scholarship, you just take, I'm interested in all the scholarships, and then the appropriate committee will look at that and say,
yeah, we probably try to find the right one for you.
Yeah.
Well, seems most PhD students has scholarship, but there are PhD students who are self-funded. They are rich they are good in academics and rich enough by family. They pay our tuition fee and pay their living costs themselves. We have this kind of students in our current student PhD cohort.
Yeah, there are also students that apply and say they are sponsored by a company.
Yeah.
So they don't need a scholarship.
Thank you, professors.
Okay, so I think next is Yishan. Yishan had a question and she raised her hand. So Yishan, please go ahead.
Hey, thank you. So I would like to ask for advice on which program I would qualify to. So some background on me is that I have a optometry diploma. Then I went to NTU for a biological science undergrad degree, honors degree. Then I'm currently working at Duke Nus for the past 3+ years already on both human clinical studies and animal models of myopia. So I would like to ask which program I would qualify to apply to, the bio PhD or the clinical science PhD.
Let me start as you're with us right now. I think you qualify for either one, and it really depends on where you want to take your career. You want to stay in clinical science or you want to go more on the basic science route. But if you're here, you can also just stop by and we can discuss that further if you want to. It might be easier, but happy to hear NUS colleagues on that.
I agree with Soka. So again, depends on I think if you're already a working professional, you might want to do something that's translational, something that can be deployed and would impact your practice. So Duke has, I think, a nice program. NUS Medicine also has a very strong eye department, very research intensive. So I think just explore the various projects that are there. I think a lot of them are very innovative, very translational in nature. And you have to think about what kind of steps you want to take after you get a degree, and that will help you define the kind of project and therefore define also the kind of lab you want to join.
Okay, I hope that answers your question, Nishan. I think ST had a follow-up question about the PhD program at the NUS Department of Pharmacy. ST, would you like to ask the question directly? I've unmuted you.
Oh, okay. Hi, professors. I'm Sarah. Basically, because the long-term plan is if I could go back after my PhD to do maybe a 0.4 FTE, 0.2 to 0.4 FTE clinical, and 0.6 to 0.8 FTE research. Because actually I'm also an A-star MBBS PhD scholar. So that's the long-term goal. I'm actually from the Department of Nuclear Medicine. So we're very interested in learning about drug discovery and design, so that maybe in the long future I can dabble into translating into discovering new theranostic drugs for nuclear medicine. There's I hope to keep up my clinical skills, and I was wondering if there's enough flexibility to allow me to do so maybe just one day a week.
Maybe you can start first. So, ST, am I right to assume that you are an A-star scholar on a MBBS PhD program?
Yeah.
So you are already pursuing a PhD, or you have yet?
No. Yeah.
You have yet to choose. I see.
Yeah.
But will you be practicing already while pursuing a PhD?
So I'm already practicing.
Okay.
Yeah. So the hope is maybe I can still do like a one day a week kind of thing, or even on a Saturday. Yeah, something like that.
Personally, I don't recommend it. From experience, clinicians who try to do part-time PhDs have not been successful in our School of Medicine. Some have burnt out, dropped out, failed. So PhD is not. I mean, personally, if you want to do a PhD and you're not geared towards it because you don't have enough background or publications, I think it's a full-time endeavor if it's a PhD by research. Having said that, I mean, if you're hyper talented, like a Wong Tianyan sort, then maybe it's possible, but there's only one Wong Tianyan in the world. Yeah. So I don't know if you want to come have a chat with me, we can discuss further, but I generally don't recommend clinicians to do part-time PhDs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Yeah.
If you are interested in Department of Pharmacy at the FOS, I recommend you to talk with the deputy head for graduate program of the department. I think that now it's Gigi to understand the situation and the potential arrangement. If you are willing to park your A-star scholar, your research with the Department of Pharmacy at the FOS.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prof.
Okay, thank you. I think Marwan, did you have a follow-up question? I think you asked the question earlier, but I just want to check in to make sure you don't have a follow-up question. Okay, if not, then I think most of the questions have been answered. But maybe we can pause for a couple of minutes to see if there are more questions. Feel free to use the raise hand function.
I think there are a few raised hands.
Yeah, I think some were answered. So
yeah.
Ishan has been answered. So
Marwan?
Marwan, I think was already answered, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there were some questions about master's programs. So I think just to reiterate what Prof. Wong was saying is that I think typically for these short-term 9 to 10-month master programs, they are typically in our self-financing programs. So they're self-funded master's programs by coursework. And so for those, I think you should take a look at NUS Scale or the department websites. Here we are talking mostly about masters by research or PhD programs. Okay. Is there anything else any of the vice deans would like to add to any of the questions or any advice for our future potential applicants? This would be a good time. I think we have like 10 more minutes or so, and then we'll wind down the session.
I think, let me start. I think somebody always said this, put your best foot forward when you want to apply for a program. If you don't apply, you don't know if you're going to get in and pursue your PhD. Try to figure out what sort of you're passionate and worry less about, I mean, put your best dossier together and everything what you have, and worry less about what you're going to do with the PhD afterwards, where the road is going to take you, but sort of take the first step on a great educational pathway in any of the departments that we have to offer. And I think it will be a very enriching and rewarding experience for you all. So that's actually what I tell all our applicants to do. So
and show that you've done your homework on the department. We're not interested in reading the application. Students think you put in the application, they want to come at NUS because it's a top university, blah, blah, blah. We're not interested in hearing that. We want to see that you have looked at the department, you know who's in the department and whom you want to study with. That counts much more than giving us compliments.
Yeah, just to echo that, I think it's really about knowing the department or the school that you're applying through, the areas of the focus that we're looking at, and then putting that proposal, particularly in the case of LKY-SPP, I think it'll be the same for FAST, is really putting that research proposal and that, that you want to explore. And then we'll be able to see, and if you're very clear about it, then we'll be able to see a very good match, right, between what you're interested in doing and what the faculty at the school are exploring.
Okay, great. So I think, oh, okay, no, So Marwan, I think for application fee waivers, I mean, these will very much be on a case-by-case basis. So I think if there's any concern about the application fee, feel free to write to NUS Graduate School or the concerned department, and then we can see how to address that specific concern. So again, I think it's very case-by-case, and so feel free to contact the respective departments for that. So I think with that, if there are no additional questions, I think we can close this session. I think if you have some additional questions, a few of us will stick around and we can answer the questions in the.
I think, sorry, Jessica, I think there's one, right?
Oh, yeah, one that just popped up. Okay, the last minute. Okay, all right, Vialia, I just saw your question and I have also unmuted you. So please feel free to go ahead and ask your question directly. Thank you.
Yeah, hi all. Thanks for today. So I'm just asking about the admission committee, since I graduate from not really high grade from my bachelor, but I have some research work as a research assistant and also study during my master, have some publication. So I just wondering if I want to apply the program, how much will be considered the GPA during the applications?
But where do you want to apply? That you haven't told us which faculty you want to apply to.
I'm sorry, yeah, I just point. I want to apply to public health faculty or medicine faculty. Yeah. And my publication will all related to public health area.
So maybe I can answer, Vilia. Yeah, so we look at multiple factors when we assess a student. So GPA is just one of many factors. We have students with low GPA but strong record, high curiosity, high motivation, and they tend to do well. So I think we don't look too much at the past if the present is good. So don't worry about that. I think apply, have a strong research story, and then go for the interview and see whether you make it. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, I think we have one more raised hand from Ola Pade. Did you want to ask your question in live? I've already unmuted you. If not, there's another question in the chat box by Chenlu Ouyang. I want to know if it is acceptable for an undergraduate to apply for PhD in NUS, especially in department like Information System or IORA. I would imagine yes.
Yeah, Department of Information System Analytics accept bachelor degree with usually first class honors.
Right.
So that's yeah, we are looking to.
So would one apply for a PhD directly to Institute of Operation Research and Analytics? They would, right? They accept PhD students directly, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, because I think Chung Piao did the talk earlier today.
True, yeah.
Okay, great. So I think that brings us to the end of the session. A few of us will still be around. So if you have any additional questions, we would be happy to just take it in the Q&A box. But again, a huge thank you to all the Vice Deans for participating in this roundtable. We very much appreciate your insights and your help. And again, to all potential applicants, feel free to reach out to any of the Vice Deans or to anyone at the NUS Graduate School if you have any questions about our programs, the admission process, financial aid, scholarships, or anything. So yeah, thank you, and we hope to welcome you to NUS.
Yeah, one more thing, please stay for the next session, which is the chat with the alumni and graduate students, current graduate students. You can ask any questions. There won't be any faculty around.
Yeah, and we should also mention that the program, doesn't stop in the next hour or two. And if you have any questions, it goes on all the way until 2 a.m.
1 a.m.
time.
Yeah, 1 a.m.
Yeah, 1 a.m. Sorry, 1 a.m. Singapore time. So feel free to stop by the booths, and there will be people on hand to answer any.
Sorry, after 7:30, please go to the lounge.
To the lounge, right?
Yes, we have a lounge. Just go to the lounge and we'll just chit chat.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.